shooting out like fireworks.
A child's hoverboard toy explodes inside a Utah family's house, but it wasn't just one fire that the mom had to put out. Her quick action prevented damage and injury. It's a toy with a history of fires, and now tonight, a new warning.
Yeah, News Specialist Ladd Egan live for us in Utah County tonight with this video. Ladd, what a scare for this family.
Yeah, you know, it was a real-life, dangerous game of whack-a-mole, all caught on camera as batteries from this exploding hoverboard started shooting out all over the living room of this Lehigh home.
He said, "Mom, there's something wrong with my hoverboard."
Thursday morning, Tamalisa Minor jumps into action to protect her family.
Came over, and it was billowing, just like billowing this electrical smoke.
From a hoverboard charging in the entryway. She tells her kids to get out and is about to call 911. The hoverboard explodes right as her 8-year-old son runs by. With only an oven mitt, she tries to move it away from the wall. Then more danger as flying batteries start other fires.
They just started shooting out like fireworks. It was burning all the way from the inside. It was like smoldering inside.
Her husband rushes downstairs and the two of them grab fire extinguishers.
This just saved my home and possibly our lives. Have one, know where it is, know how to use it, because your brain goes mush when you're panicked.
While the cleanup is a hassle, the family is just grateful the fire happened when it did.
I'm still in shock. I mean, if we had been asleep, I am at a loss for words. I cannot believe how lucky we were.
You know, in addition to the damage from the actual flame, you know, there's other things that have to be dealt with. There's components of the batteries, there's soot covering the walls, the flooring, all their flooring and or all their clothing and mattresses have to be cleaned. They also have to throw out all their food that's not canned. So a lot of cleanup underway. You know, they say that the city's fire marshal has been here. Also, they say an investigation is underway by their homeowner's insurance company. But Mike, this family feeling grateful tonight, and you really have to hand it to that mom, some quick action in the face of danger there.
Yeah, and the fact she knew where the fire extinguisher was, actually had one and used that.
That's key.
Yeah, without question. Ladd, thank you.
Firefighters say a hoverboard charging in a Herriman home sparked a fire. It's the latest in a number of similar incidents. News specialist Alex Cabrero spoke to a Lehigh family who experienced the same thing.
Alex, what do you know?
Yeah, this family told me they had no idea how often something like this happens, Mike. In fact, there was a certain model of hoverboards, a certain model that was recalled 5 years ago. However, other models have started catching fire, and the family says they are still trying to spread the word that something like this can happen, especially when those hoverboards are being charged. It happened again.
Just every so often, those chargers overheat.
Firefighters putting out flames caused by a hoverboard that was charging.
And just the batteries explode inside of.
Patrick Costin with Unified Fire Authority says it's not something his team deals with all the time, but it does happen. It's just a good thing the family who bought this hoverboard had it charging in their garage instead of somewhere else inside their home.
The family just purchased it, plugged it in, and just tried to get it charged up. Next thing you know, we saw a whole bunch of smoke.
The family called firefighters who put out the fire before the flames could spread to the rest of the house. However, the news of what happened spread fast to the Minor family.
Can't believe it happened again.
Shocked.
This is surveillance video from their Lehigh home this past summer when a hoverboard charging in their house burst into flames, even sending burning batteries flying.
So we had full-on huge flames everywhere.
The Miners spoke to the U.S. Consumer Product Safety Commission about their incidents. They also did research on hoverboard fires and couldn't believe what they found.
I found that we were about the 216th hoverboard fire, and there had been recalls, but years ago.
However, these fires are still happening, and even though chances are small it will happen, the Miners have made it their goal to let families know it can happen. Like at her home last summer and this Herriman home last night.
Maybe yours will be fine, but maybe not. And that's the thing, is you just don't know.
Now, the fire damage to that house was kept to the garage area, though the rest of the house has smoke damage. The reason why it wasn't worse is because that family, just like the Minor family in Lehigh, they were home and awake at the time this all started.
Well, a charging hoverboard is to blame for a fire inside a Utah County office building. The Lehigh Fire Department found that hoverboard plugged right into the wall.
Yeah, it was. News Special Shelby Lofton is at that building right now, and Shelby firefighters put out the flames early this morning. So when can folks actually expect to be back inside?
The Lehigh Fire Department told us even though this fire was only in one office, this entire building will be closed. No one can go inside until restoration work is complete, which could take a couple of days. Just goes to show how a small fire can have big consequences.
Why does it keep happening?
Headlines about hoverboards.
I've seen a few stories over the years.
Are nothing new to Ashley Sylvia.
I really just don't think people understand the danger.
Her own home was in the news in 2017.
I just heard my phone go off. I looked at it. Hey, I think your house is on fire.
She, her husband, children, and dog Flash had just moved into their Bluffdale home.
Ceilings, walls, everything was just black. TV was melted. Our blinds were melted. Every stud was poking through.
Firefighters told them it was a total loss.
The very first thing out of my son, who is my oldest, out of his mouth was, did Flash die? They brought him out, but he was unrecognizable.
Firefighters' investigation found an explosion was the cause.
There was a giant hole right here.
That's where they left the hoverboard.
They figured it probably was that lithium battery exploded.
And found it in pieces in the basement. Sylvia wants people to know the risks that come with the toy.
Somebody in your community has experienced tragedy because of it.
The Lehigh Fire Department recommends watching hoverboards while they charge and keep it away from combustible materials. Sylvia wishes theirs was in the garage.
You can have a fire safety door that if something happens in your garage, at least it's protecting your family and your pets and everything.
And the Lehigh Fire Department Battalion Chief told me you want to look for that UL stamp of approval when you're buying a product like a hoverboard. It's a sticker that UL stands for Underwriter Laboratories. In Lehigh, Shelby Lofton, KSL 5 News.
A fire chief in Utah County is warning folks to be careful with battery chargers.
Investigators think they could be to blame for 2 house fires in just the last couple of weeks. News Specialist Sean Moody reports on what we should know to keep our families safe. Sean?
A quick action likely saved these homes. In one of those cases, the homeowner actually got most of the flames out with a garden hose. The Lone Peak Fire Chief says it's really important to take a look at the condition of your charging devices, looking at things like these charging cables to make sure they're not frayed or have other damage. Fire investigators are pretty good at picking up on clues. After 2 house fires in the Lone Peak Fire District this month, they noticed something.
We don't see a lot of it, but it was just unique over the last couple of weeks that we had kind of 2 in a row.
They've not yet made an official determination on the causes of the 2 fires, but in each case, investigators are leaning toward the idea that a battery charger was the culprit. They shared these pictures of those devices on their Facebook page today.
We just wanted people to be safe and be aware of some of the hazards that are out there.
One device, they said, was a radio-controlled car battery. The other was a portable battery charger. Lone Peak Fire Chief Reed Thompson said people often take charging device safety for granted. He said it didn't appear that people in these cases did anything wrong, but there are some things people can do to minimize the chance of a fire.
You know, are there frayed cords? Has something been damaged that shouldn't be plugged in? Is there bulging on the battery itself, or does it look like it's been damaged, or are there cracks? We do see occasionally, you know, knockoffs or things that are cheaper that may not go through the testing standard, that one that maybe costs a little bit more money.
And he said the time of day is important. Thompson advises against charging devices overnight.
I would recommend, you know, if you're going to leave something unattended, that it's during daytime hours rather than at night. In the second situation, the family was asleep and were alerted by the loud noise and then the smoke alarms going off, and so they were fortunate to get out of their home safely.
It's certainly something there to keep in mind. I know I'm not the only person who charges phones overnight. Now, in both of these cases, the Lone Peak Fire Department was able to get those flames out before they destroyed the houses. Deanie, back to you.
You're not the only one that charges overnight, and every one of us here have admitted we have frayed cords, so we need to be more diligent. Sean, thanks. All right, check out this explosion caught on tape inside a family fun center in Ogden. It almost looks like a flare going off, right? Well, the fiery moment played out inside Skinny Dogs in Ogden, and news specialist Andrew Adams learned this was all caused by an e-cigarette battery. Andrew?
Yeah, this guy suffered some serious burns to his leg. He never expected anything like this could happen, and he now wants to warn others about the danger.
It's bad. It was really bad.
On a busy Saturday night.
At the time, my mind wasn't all here.
The odds of bowling a strike were far greater than what unfolded away from the bowling alley at Skinny Dogs.
I noticed my batteries on the floor, and I was like, wow, that actually happened.
Over by the arcade,
I've heard of it happening, but I've never actually witnessed it until now.
Christopher Kendall says he was just working security and greeting customers.
That's when I heard a pop go off, and that's when I looked down and my pants was on fire.
Surveillance cameras captured the apparent explosion of a spare e-cigarette battery.
It shot out of my pocket and hit the wall.
The sparks grazed a customer standing by the counter.
I've heard of them malfunctioning where like they don't charge or anything like that, but exploding? No, I have not.
While workers say the customer avoided injury,
Viewers' discretion is advised.
Kendall suffered second and third degree burns.
This is the general area where I got burned.
As the security guard searches for answers,
I still wonder like what caused it to happen.
he's cautioning all who vape.
If you do vape and you have spare batteries on you, make sure there's somewhere where it's airable.
Kendall doesn't want to see a rare mishap with a vape battery
Just keep an eye on them.
happen to anybody else.
I got away with second-degree burns. Someone could have gotten way worse than that.
Well, if you Google vape battery explosions, you do get some search results. So they apparently happen, and they apparently happen at enough frequency. The FDA actually has a web page dedicated to a warning about them. We'll have a link up on our website, KSLTV.com.
Wow. All right, Andrew, thank you.